This was undoubtedly the most powerful cavalry force in medieval Europe. Clad in golden armor with wings affixed to their backs and long lances in hand, they looked from afar like angels with wings ready to take flight. They were the Polish-Lithuanian winged hussars, known as the Spear of God. In the 17th century, the Cossacks of Ukraine were under Polish rule. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was at its zenith, and the Poles had recruited the Cossacks as mercenaries. Yet the Poles never truly regarded the Cossacks as allies. To them, the Cossacks were nothing more than barbarians. The Poles established manners, reducing the Cossacks to serfdom once more, and hired Jewish tax collectors to impose heavy levies. It all changed when a Cossack nobleman named Bohun clashed with the Poles and sparked a rebellion. What began as a personal conflict soon erupted into a full-scale uprising across Ukraine. 1647, a year of turmoil. A detachment of elite Polish winged hussars galloped across the plains, led by the young Lieutenant Jan Skrzytuski. Suddenly, they spotted bandits committing violence ahead. A man was brutally yanked from his horse by a rope and thrown to the ground. Without hesitation, Jan led his men in a charge, the sound of gunfire shattering the peace of the plains. The bandits were instantly routed. Jan's men rushed to check the rescued man's injuries, but Jan's servant, Rzedzian, eyed the man's fine horse with greed. The rescued man begged Jan for mercy, promising a rich reward. Jan soon realized the truth. These bandits were not real Tatars. He recognized one of the dead as a neighbor's servant. The man revealed his identity. He was a Cossack commander. Jan introduced himself as a soldier under Prince Jeremy Wisniewicki. As they parted ways, the man called out to Jan and revealed his true identity, Bohdan Zenobius Chmielnicki, the Cossack leader who would soon shake the entire Commonwealth to its core. Jan had no idea that this chance encounter would alter his fate, and that of the nation. Soon after, Jan arrived at a tavern in Chechyn Forest, a place where all sorts gathered and where news traveled fast. A portly nobleman named Zagloba was pontificating about how the local beer tasted too light and lacked richness. Jan learned from a friend that the man he had rescued, Chmielnicki, was now a fugitive. He stole the king's secret letter inciting the Cossacks against the nobility and is now fleeing to Sites. A great rebellion was brewing.
Król w nich zachęca kozaków do oporu przeciw szlachcie. Jezus Maria, te listy nasiczy to iskra na prochy.
Just then, a thug named Czaplicki burst in, Chmielnicki's sworn enemy. When he learned that Jan had saved Chmielnicki, he flew into a rage and tried to arrest Jan on the spot. Jan was no pushover. He kicked Czaplicki to the ground, sparking a brawl. The Cossacks in the tavern, impressed by Jan's courage, cheered his name. The portly nobleman Zagloba joined in, introducing himself with exaggerated tales of his scars, supposedly earned in a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, though his companions revealed they were actually from a bar fight. Zagloba introduced Jan to another friend, the Lithuanian knight Longinas Podbepienta, a towering figure who carried an enormous Teutonic knight's sword, a family heirloom. No one in the tavern could wield it single-handedly, except Longinas, who swung it with ease, earning roars of approval. Longinas confided in Jan that he had vowed to remain chaste until he could, like his ancestors, behead 3 enemies with a single stroke, a feat he had yet to achieve. As they talked, an elderly woman and a stunning young girl, Helena, sought their help. Their carriage was stuck in the mud. Jan was instantly smitten by Helena's beauty. Love ignited in his heart, and he vowed to protect her at all costs. The elderly woman invited them into her home as guests. It turned out she was the widow of Duke Katarjevich. Helena, it turned out, was the daughter of her late husband's brother. Helena warned Jan that being near her would bring misfortune. At the estate, they met the widow's 4 sons and their companion, the Cossack leader, Bohun. Bohun's possessive gaze fixed on Helena, and he glared at Jan with open hostility. The widow explained that Bohun was wild but beloved. Bohun had long coveted Helena and warned the widow's sons that if Jan dared touch her, he would not spare him. Fearful of offending Prince Jeremy, the sons urged Bohun to restrain himself, for now. At dinner, Bohun played a melancholic Ukrainian ballad, his song filled with longing for glory and uncertainty about the future. Meanwhile, Jan and Helena danced, their hearts drawing closer. That night, Helena prayed to God, wishing to become Jan's wife and escape Bohun's grasp. The next day, Jan's servant, Rzedzian, revealed that the widow's family planned to marry Helena to Bohun in exchange for their right to stay on the estate. Enraged, Jan confronted the widow, demanding Helena's hand. When she refused, he accused them of trading Helena's happiness. Invoking Prince Jeremy's authority, he pressured them, promising that if they agreed to the marriage, he could appease the prince's wrath. The widow's sons wavered and finally consented. When Helena was called, she ran into Jan's arms without hesitation. The two pledged their love before all. Jan returned to Prince Jeremy's domain in Lubny, announcing his engagement. The prince approved but brought grim news. War with the Turks was unlikely, but the Cossack rebellion was imminent. He ordered Jan to return to sites to investigate whether Khmelnytsky had allied with the Tatars. Before leaving, Jan and Helena shared a tearful farewell, vowing to reunite in a month. Jan and Rzedzian set out for Syk, crossing the Dnieper River. The shores were desolate, a harbinger of the war to come. Along the way, they were ambushed by Cossack rebels. Jan, however, was captured and taken to Syk as a prisoner. In Syk, Khmelnytsky publicly exposed a letter from the prince attempting to divide the Cossacks and accused two leaders of treachery. The enraged Cossacks beat the two men to death in a brutal display. Jan was then brought before the crowd, with the Cossacks demanding his execution. At the critical moment, Khmelnytsky claimed Jan had saved his life and offered $4,000 to spare him.
Скоро почнеться війна і багато води спливе. У Дніпрі поки гроші дістанеш, а я тобі зараз виплачу.
4.
Khmelnytsky confessed to Jan that his rebellion was not for personal vengeance, but for all oppressed Cossacks. His alliance with the Tatars was merely a strategy against the Polish nobles.
Niech nam prawa przywrócą, Tatarów odprawi.
Just then, news arrived that the Polish army was advancing. The battle at Yellow Waters was about to begin.
Wojna.
The Cossack forces, led by Khmelnytsky, were high in morale.
Нехай полки вдають атаку і вертаються, а потім знову і так цілу ніч. Назад! Назад!
Taking advantage of heavy rain, Khmelnytsky lured the Polish winged hussars into the mud, securing victory at the Battle of Yellow Waters. Meanwhile, Rzedzian, carrying John's letter, rushed to Rohatyn but was intercepted by Bohun's men. Bohun recognized Rzedzian and found the letter addressed to Helena. When he read the words, "My queen," jealousy consumed him. Enraged, Bohun struck Rzedzian in the chest with an iron hammer. Fueled by hatred, Bohun and his men, along with Zagłoba, rode to the Rohatyn estate under the cover of night. The widow's family welcomed Bohun, unaware of the impending slaughter. Bohun feigned concern for Helena and demanded the widow's family reaffirm their promise to marry her to him. Once they agreed, he revealed his true intentions. Furious, he produced the letter John had given Helena and then launched a massacre. The widow's 4 sons were brutally killed. Zagłoba, however, had a plan. He found the terrified Helena and revealed that Jan had sent him to rescue her. He tricked Bohun's men, got them drunk, and escaped with Helena under the cover of darkness. Before departing, Zagłoba taunted the wounded Bohun, declaring he would deliver Helena safely to Jan. Instead, they headed toward Chihyryn. When Bohun awoke and realized he had been deceived, he sent his men in pursuit. Zagłoba and Helena soon learned that Chihyryn had fallen, and peasants were slaughtering nobles. With rebels ahead and pursuers behind, they were trapped. Bohun's men captured Rzedzian, who had been informing them, and learned of their whereabouts. Their horses were stolen, forcing them to continue on foot.
Co się stało?
Nie mamy koni!
To evade capture, Zagłoba stole the clothes of blind minstrels as a disguise. Just as they thought they might escape, they stumbled upon Prince Jeremy's army. Mistaken for rebel scouts, Zagłoba was captured and Helena was seized by Bohun's men in the chaos. Bohun took Helena to the fortress of Bar, where a witch named Horpina hid her. Rzedzian, now a Cossack turncoat, had healed Bohun's wounds. Horpina told Bohun that Helena was in the castle on a white rock. After the Battle of Korsun, the Polish army suffered another defeat, and Chmielnicki released Jan in gratitude for saving his life. The Cossacks celebrated their victory, drinking from looted goblets and chamber pots, their behavior growing increasingly debauched. News of the king's death threw the Cossacks into disarray. Chmielnicki sent a humble letter to Prince Jeremy, buying time until the Tatars returned. But the prince saw through the ruse, executed the envoys, and declared war on all of Ukraine. He vowed to drown the rebellion in blood. The brutality of war left Jan broken, believing Helena had died in Bar. To keep him from despair, Prince Jeremy sent him into battle. Amid the ruins, Jan's men rescued Zagłoba, who had been captured by peasants. Zagłoba revealed that Helena was alive, Bohun had taken her, and she might be in Bar. This news reignited Jan's hope, and he swore to find her. Bohun hid Helena in Horpina's cave, confessing his love, only to be met with her cold rejection. Helena's defiance tormented Bohun, but he vowed never to harm her, content just to be near her. Before leaving for battle, he asked Horpina to foretell his fate. She prophesied a powerful enemy, a betrayal, and Helena's ultimate destiny, a vision of blood and death that left Bohun unsettled. He asked Helena to wish him luck, but she only said, "Safe travels." Jan and his friends decided to infiltrate Chmielnicki's camp for information. Bohun, meanwhile, received the same orders and coated himself in tar to move unseen in the night. Zagłoba was captured by Bohun's men, who recognized him. Bohun taunted him, revealing that Helena was in his possession and mockingly inviting him to the wedding. Zagłoba escaped, stole a horse, and told John that Helena was alive and that Bohun planned to marry her in Kyiv. As they prepared to leave for Kyiv, news arrived of the Polish army's crushing defeat at Pilyavtsi. The entire front had collapsed. Prince Jeremy barely escaped, retreating to the fortress of Zbaraz. John and his friends decided to join him there. The Senate wanted to negotiate with Chmielnicki, but Prince Jeremy vehemently opposed it. John requested to join the delegation to Chmielnicki's camp, hoping to find Bohun. At a tavern outside Zbaraz, John's friends encountered Bohun, who had come to deliver a message. Enemies at last faced each other, and Wolodajowski challenged Bohun to a duel. Bohun, confident in his skill, accepted. But Wolodajowski's swordsmanship was unmatched, and Bohun was quickly defeated. Jan reached Chmielnicki's headquarters and requested a duel with Bohun. Chmielnicki agreed and sent men to help find Helena. Just then, Brzezian found Jan's friends and revealed that Bohun was still alive and that Helena was hidden in a cave in Devil's Valley, guarded by Horpina. He had also stolen Bohun's staff, a token to enter Horpina's lair. Zagłoba, Wolodajowski, and Longinis set out immediately. Using Bohun's staff, they tricked the guards, killed Horpina and her dwarf servant, and rescued Helena. On their return, they were ambushed by Tatars. Just as all seemed lost, Longinis's reinforcements arrived, driving the Tatars back. But in the chaos, Helena and Brzezian were separated. The group decided to return to Zbaraz, keeping the news from Jan to prevent his collapse. The fortress of Zbaraz was besieged by hundreds of thousands of Cossacks and Tatars. Prince Jeremy held a banquet to defy the enemy. In the first assault, the Poles, led by the prince, repelled the attackers. But as the siege dragged on, food and gunpowder dwindled. In the second assault, Longinis, determined to fulfill his vow, charged into the enemy ranks and beheaded 3 Turkish janissaries with a single stroke. He achieved his family's glory but was fatally wounded by arrows. With supplies exhausted, someone had to break through the siege to seek the king's aid. John volunteered for the suicidal mission. Longinis volunteered to serve as bait, drawing the enemy's attention. Under cover of night, he slipped into the water, evading enemy patrols, and escaped the encirclement. After a grueling journey, he reached the king and reported Zbaraz's dire situation. The king immediately ordered a relief force to march on Zbaraz. In the king's castle, Jan reunited with Rzedzian. Jan learned that they had initially rescued Helena, but a Tartar attack had forced them to split up during the journey. Jan was furious at Rzedzian's carelessness. The king's army signed a truce with the Tatar Khan, lifting the siege of Zbaraz. Jan became a national hero, and his beloved Helena was safely returned to him. Peace had finally come, and the prince himself would officiate their wedding. Bohun, now a prisoner, was brought before January. The prince left his fate in Jan's hands. Facing the man who had caused him so much pain, Jan chose mercy. Though the war had temporarily ended, the seeds of hatred had been sown.